My name is Omar S., and I have dedicated my life to serving Allah as an Imam. For years, I have been a guide and a source of comfort for my community, sharing wisdom, leading prayers, and offering support to those in need. When my family and I moved to a new country, we saw it as an opportunity, a chance to share the light of Islam in a new land. We embraced this journey with hope, trusting it was part of Allah's plan. My days were filled with prayer, teaching, and helping others find strength in their faith. I believed my own faith was unshakable, that I was ready for any trial Allah might place before me. But life was about to test me in ways I could never have imagined. Each day of my life revolved around my role as an Imam. From morning until evening, I was at the service of my community, leading prayers, counseling those in need, and sharing the teachings of Islam. People came to me with their struggles, doubts, and fears, and I did my best to remind them of Allah's mercy and guidance. My faith was my foundation, steady and unwavering. I believed deeply in the strength that came from trusting in Allah's plan. I was certain that, no matter the challenge, my belief would see me through. It began with sharp abdominal pains, which I dismissed as nothing more than indigestion. I was reluctant to seek medical help, brushing it off as something minor. But as the pain worsened, my wife insisted I see a doctor. Reluctantly, I agreed, thinking it would be a simple matter. After weeks of tests and consultations, I received the diagnosis: stage 4 stomach cancer. The words hit me like a storm, and my world seemed to collapse. Yet, deep down, I knew this wasn't random. It was a test, a trial from Allah. Just as the prophets faced their own tests, I realized this was mine. I resolved to face it with faith and courage, trusting in His wisdom. Enduring chemotherapy has been one of the most grueling chapters of my life. The physical suffering is relentless, a constant reminder of my frailty. The pain comes in waves, gnawing at both my body and my spirit. Each session drains me, leaving me hollow, yet somehow still clinging to hope. I can't help but draw parallels to the vision I had after the motorcycle accident. That experience showed me the depths of torment, but it also planted a seed of resilience within me. It taught me that even in the darkest moments, there's a flicker of light worth reaching for. This journey feels like another trial, another ordeal to endure. I found myself crying out in frustration, battling despair. But somewhere, in the echoes of that profound encounter, I hear a voice urging me to keep going. I remind myself that suffering has a purpose, even if I can't see it clearly now. It's a daily fight, but I refuse to let this break me. Just as I faced that vision and came out transformed, I believe I can come through this too, no matter how agonizing the process may be. In the midst of my suffering, I've found strength through prayer and the recitation of the Quran. Each word, each verse, feels like a balm to my weary soul, reminding me that I am not alone in this ordeal. When the physical pain becomes unbearable, I close my eyes and let the rhythm of the recitation wash over me. It steadies my heart, grounding me in something greater than myself. Prayer, too, has become my refuge, a space where I can pour out my fears, my frustrations, and my hopes. The lessons from my vision after the accident resonate deeply now. I was shown what it means to feel lost, to face torment. Yet in this trial, I also feel a closeness to the divine that I've never known before. These moments of connection give me the strength to endure, to rise again even when I feel I have nothing left. Through prayer and the Quran, I am reminded that this suffering is not in vain. It is shaping me, teaching me patience, and drawing me closer to the mercy and wisdom of Allah. There are moments when the weight of my suffering stirs doubt within me. I find myself questioning, wondering why I must endure so much pain. It's not easy to reconcile the torment with a belief in a merciful Creator, but in these moments of doubt, I turn to prayer and reflection. I remind myself of the vision I experienced after the motorcycle accident, a profound moment that shook me to my core and reignited my faith. That encounter taught me that even in the darkest trials, there is meaning and purpose, even if I cannot fully understand it now. Slowly, I find myself reaffirming my trust in Allah. I remind myself that His wisdom is greater than mine, that this suffering is part of a plan I may not yet see. It's a struggle, but through prayer, reciting the Quran, and leaning on the lessons of my past, I am learning to let go of my doubts and place my trust fully in Him. Each day is a battle, but with each reaffirmation of faith, I feel a flicker of peace, proof that Allah's mercy remains, even in the midst of my pain. It was a harrowing night, one I won't soon forget. The chemotherapy had taken its toll, leaving me drained and barely able to stand. My body felt like it was folding in on itself, every ounce of strength stripped away. I tried to push through, but the pain was unbearable, a relentless wave crashing over me. My legs gave out, and I found myself crumpled on the floor, gasping for breath. In that moment, it felt as though everything was slipping away, the darkness pressing in on all sides. But even as I lay there, broken and vulnerable, something stirred within me, a faint but steady resolve. I remembered the vision after the motorcycle accident, the torment I had faced, and the strength I had found in the aftermath. That memory reminded me that I had survived before, and I could survive this too. I whispered prayers through my tears, clinging to the hope that this collapse was not the end, but just another step in the journey. It struck without warning, a sharp, searing pain in my chest that took my breath away. I clutched at my chest, struggling to make sense of what was happening, but the pain only intensified, spreading like fire through my body. Panic set in as my vision blurred and my strength faded. I tried to call out to hold on, but the world around me began to slip away. The last thing I remember was a sensation of falling, the weight of the pain dragging me down into darkness. When I woke, I was disoriented, unsure of how much time had passed. The memory of that moment lingered, a stark reminder of how fragile this journey has made me. Yet, even in the fear and uncertainty, I found myself whispering a quiet prayer, seeking comfort in knowing that I was still here, still fighting. It was surreal, unlike anything I had ever imagined. One moment, there was pain, and then suddenly I felt weightless, as if I had been untethered from my body. I found myself floating above, looking down at the scene below. There I was, my own body, fragile and pale, lying motionless. Around me, frantic hands worked tirelessly, voices urgent and filled with tension. I could see everything clearly, yet I felt no fear, no pain, only a strange sense of calm. It was as though time had slowed, and I was merely an observer. I couldn't reach out, couldn't speak, but I watched, a part of me silently willing them to succeed, to pull me back. And then, just as suddenly as it began, I was yanked back into myself, the sensation of weightlessness replaced by the heaviness of pain and consciousness. The memory of that experience lingered, vivid and haunting, leaving me with questions I couldn't yet answer, but also a profound sense of awe at the fragility and mystery of life. Everything around me was chaos. Voices shouting, hurried movements, and the unmistakable tension of people fighting to keep me alive. I could feel the urgency in the air, yet within me, there was an unexpected stillness. It was as though I had stepped out of the storm and into a quiet space untouched by the commotion. The pain that had gripped me moments before seemed distant, almost unreal. Instead of panic, I felt an eerie calm, a strange acceptance of whatever was to come. I can't explain it, but in that moment, I wasn't afraid. The world around me seemed to blur, and I focused only on the stillness within. It felt as though something beyond myself was holding me steady, keeping me anchored amidst the chaos. That calmness stayed with me, even as the intensity of the situation pulled me back into the noise and urgency of survival. It was a fleeting moment, but one that left an impression I can't forget, a quiet assurance in the midst of turmoil. As I drifted further from the physical scene below, the frantic voices and chaos faded away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace. The light wasn't harsh or blinding. It felt alive, full of comfort and understanding. I moved toward it without hesitation, as though it were the answer to everything I had ever longed for. There was no fear, no pain, just a deep, indescribable calm washing over me. I felt weightless, free from the burdens of my body and the suffering that had defined my days. For a moment, it was as if I had stepped into a realm beyond time, where everything made sense and nothing could hurt me anymore. The pull of the light was strong, but somewhere in the depths of my being, I knew my journey wasn't over. Reluctantly, I felt myself drawn back, the peace of that moment lingering even as the heaviness of my body and the chaos of life reclaimed me. As I drifted toward the light, a sound reached me, soft, distant, yet achingly familiar. It was my mother's lullaby, the one she used to sing to me when I was a child. Her voice, gentle and soothing, seemed to rise from somewhere deep within my memory, weaving through the warmth of the light. The lullaby wrapped around me like a tender embrace, pulling me closer to the light, as if guiding me towards something greater. It was my late mother. Each note seemed to carry a piece of my past, a reminder of love, safety, and the unbreakable bond between us. With every step closer, I felt as though I was at the beginning of a profound journey, one that transcended the pain and struggle of my current existence. I moved forward, drawn by the light and the song, ready to embrace whatever awaited me. In that moment, it felt as if I was being prepared for something far beyond my understanding, a journey that was only just beginning. I couldn't see, couldn't feel, couldn't comprehend anything beyond the weight of it. The cries of anguish echoed around me, though they didn't seem to come from a particular place. They were everywhere, surrounding me, piercing me. It wasn't a whisper nor a shout, but something that filled the expanse of existence, commanding and absolute. The words reverberated through the darkness, slicing through the torment and chaos. I couldn't discern if it was meant to comfort or to condemn. It simply was. In that instant, I felt utterly exposed, as though every hidden thought, every buried action, every moment I'd chosen to forget was being drawn to the surface, stripped of pretense or excuse. I saw a figure from a distance. It was Mohammed. His voice echoed, "Go and find the truth." As he faded out, I came back to myself. I tried to open my eyes as I heard my wife curiously saying, "He is back. My husband is back," as she called the attention of the doctor.